17 famous child actors you'd never recognize today. They were once the unforgettable kids who stole scenes, won hearts, and became famous before they were old enough to drive. But decades later, some have changed so dramatically, you may not recognize them at all. Before we reveal their surprising transformations, subscribe to Hollywood Legends Remembered for more incredible then and now stories. Haley Joel Osment. Haley Joel Osment was an American actor who became a recognizable child star of the late 1990s. After appearing as Forrest Gump's son in Forrest Gump, he became internationally famous at 11 as Cole Sear in The Sixth Sense, earning an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor. Osment followed that breakthrough with roles in AI, Artificial Intelligence, Pay It Forward, and Secondhand Lions. But unlike the frightened, wide-eyed boy audiences remembered, he did not remain frozen in that image. After high school, Osment moved to New York and studied theater at NYU's Tisch School of the Arts, giving himself space to develop beyond childhood stardom. Would you recognize the boy who whispered, "I see dead people if you passed him on the street today?" As an adult, Osment's appearance changed naturally. He grew a beard, gained a broader build, and became visually different from the child audiences knew. His career changed too. Rather than trying to recreate fame, he moved into character acting, comedy, television, and voice work. His credits include Silicon Valley, The Boys, What We Do in the Shadows, and the Kingdom Hearts video game series. In 2025, Osment appeared in Wednesday as the disturbing Kansas City Scalper, once again returning to the horror genre that first made him famous. Now in his late 30s, Osment has never truly disappeared from acting. He simply grew into a different kind of performer than the child star millions still remember. Jonathan Lipnicki. Jonathan Lipnicki is an American actor who became famous at 6 as Ray Boyd in Jerry Maguire, where his glasses, spiky hair, and memorable observations made him instantly recognizable. He followed that success with Stuart Little, The Little Vampire, and like Mike, becoming a familiar child star of the late 1990s and early 2000s. Growing up in public was not easy. Lipnicki later revealed that he was bullied relentlessly at school and called a has-been by classmates. He said the experience contributed to anxiety and panic attacks, while his acting career became quieter as he entered adolescence. Would you have recognized the little boy from Jerry Maguire if you met Jonathan today? As an adult, Lipnicki looks very different from the bespectacled child audiences remember. He became deeply involved in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, eventually earning a black belt, and developed an athletic build that surprised fans when newer photographs circulated. Yet he never abandoned acting. In 2025, Lipnicki admitted that his adult career had not reached the level he wanted, but he remained determined to continue. He appeared as an exaggerated version of himself on The Joe Schmo Show and also moved into producing. In a 2026 interview, he again reflected on Jerry Maguire and made clear that acting still matters deeply to him. Nearly 30 years after his breakout, Lipnicki is no longer simply the cute kid audiences remember. At 35, he is still working to build the next stage of his career on his own terms. Josh Peck. Josh Peck is an American actor and comedian who became a familiar face to Nickelodeon viewers. After appearing on The Amanda Show, he became known as Josh Nichols on Drake and Josh, where his comic timing made him a major star. Behind the comedy, Peck struggled with his weight and self-esteem. He has said that as a teenager, he weighed close to 300 pounds and used food to cope with insecurity. Over roughly 18 months, he changed his diet and exercise habits and lost more than 100 pounds. But Peck later explained that changing his body did not automatically solve the problems he carried inside. How difficult must it be to transform your appearance and then realize that the same insecurities are still there? In his late teens, Peck began abusing drugs and alcohol, describing the period as an attempt to numb feelings he had not dealt with. He eventually got sober at 21 in 2008 and has spoken openly about recovery and becoming comfortable with himself. Peck continued acting as an adult, appearing in The Wackness, Grandfathered, Turner and Hooch, and Oppenheimer, while also building an audience through social media and podcasting. In his 2022 memoir, Happy People Are Annoying, he discussed childhood fame, addiction, weight loss, and sobriety. Today, Peck looks very different from the teenage sitcom star viewers remember, but the bigger transformation was personal learning that losing weight was only one part of rebuilding his life. Taylor Momsen. Taylor Momsen is an American singer-songwriter and former actress who became widely known as Cindy Lou Who in the 2000 film How the Grinch Stole Christmas. She later played Jenny Humphrey on Gossip Girl, but her adult life moved in a direction different from what audiences expected. Momsen began working professionally, very young, and she has said, fame brought isolation. After the Grinch, classmates often called her Grinch Girl, and she later described being bullied and feeling separated from other children. By her teenage years, music had become far more important than acting. How many viewers who remember the sweet, wide-eyed Cindy Lou, who would recognize the hard rock frontwoman Momsen became? In 2009, she formed The Pretty Reckless and gradually stepped away from acting. By 2011, she publicly said she had quit acting to focus on touring and music. The transition was dramatic professionally and visually. The child actress, associated with bright costumes and family films, became known for dark eye makeup, leather long blonde hair, and an intense rock stage presence. The Pretty Reckless went on to build a career in rock, releasing successful albums and touring internationally. In 2026, Momsen said she had no desire to return to acting and was preparing to tour with AC/DC. At 32, Taylor Momsen looks very different from her childhood image. But the bigger change is that she deliberately chose a life centered on music rather than acting. Jaleel White. Jaleel White is an American actor who became a household name as Steve Urkel on the sitcom Family Matters. He was only 12 when he auditioned for what was supposed to be a one-episode role, but Urkel's oversized glasses, suspenders, high-pitched voice, and awkward confidence quickly made him the breakout character. White grew up in front of the camera. Family Matters ran until 1998, and he spent 9 years playing Urkel while also portraying the smoother alter ego Stefan Urkel. The contrast showed how different White looked once the glasses, high-water pants, and exaggerated posture disappeared. Would you recognize Steve Urkel today if Jaleel White walked past you without the glasses and suspenders? Adulthood made the transformation more striking. White later explained that maintaining Urkel's nasal pitch during puberty strained his voice, forcing him to seek medical and vocal help. Physically, he also grew far removed from the skinny, awkward teenager audiences remembered. After Family Matters, White kept working. He appeared in television and film, competed on Dancing with the Stars, and later became host and executive producer of the game show Flipside. In 2024, he published his memoir Growing Up Urkel, reflecting on child stardom and the difficulty of being identified with one character for so long. Today, White speaks about Urkel with more acceptance. The child star audiences remember has changed completely, but the character remains famous enough that people still connect him to that unforgettable voice posture and pair of suspenders. Angus T. Jones. Angus T. Jones is a child actor best known for playing Jake Harper on the CBS sitcom 2.5 Men. He joined the series at 10 and grew up on television alongside Charlie Sheen and John Cryer, eventually becoming one of the highest-paid child actors on TV. Viewers watched Jake change from a mischievous boy into a clueless teenager. But Jones's real life took a different turn. In 2012, at 19, he appeared in a religious video and publicly criticized the show that made him famous, calling it filth and asking people to stop watching. He later apologized for disrespecting those who worked with him, but soon stepped away from the series and largely left acting behind. Would you have expected one of television's most recognizable child stars to walk away from Hollywood at the height of his fame? Jones later attended the University of Colorado Boulder and kept a low public profile. His appearance changed dramatically from the round-faced boy audiences remembered with a full beard and mature look, making him difficult to recognize. He made a brief acting return in 2023 on Chuck Lorre's Max comedy Bookie, appearing in a poker scene with Charlie Sheen that echoed 2.5 Men. Now in his early 30s, Jones remains mostly outside Hollywood. His story is less about a failed child star than someone who deliberately chose a quieter life after growing up in front of millions. Edward Furlong. Edward Furlong is an American actor who became famous as a teenager after playing John Connor in James Cameron's Terminator 2: Judgment Day. Cast at 13, he went from an unknown youngster to one of Hollywood's most recognizable young stars almost overnight. He later appeared in films including American History X and Detroit Rock City. The years that followed were far more difficult. Furlong has spoken openly about struggles with alcohol, methamphetamine, heroin, and cocaine. Addiction affected his health and career, and he later admitted that drug use cost him the chance to return as John Connor in Terminator 3. Would you have recognized the rebellious teenager from Terminator 2 if you had seen Edward during the hardest years of his adult life? His appearance changed dramatically as those problems continued. Furlong later revealed that meth use had badly damaged his teeth, while years of addiction and unstable health left him looking very different from the fresh-faced child actor audiences remembered. In 2022, he said he had been sober for 4 years and had received new teeth, describing recovery as a genuine second chance. Furlong has continued taking acting roles and appearing at fan conventions. In a 2024 interview, he spoke candidly about hitting rock bottom and rediscovering the enjoyment of living sober. More than 3 decades after Terminator 2, the transformation is striking, but Furlong's story is also one of a former child star still trying to rebuild his life and career. Jonathan Taylor Thomas. Jonathan Taylor Thomas is an American actor and former teen idol who became one of the most recognizable young stars of the 1990s. He played Randy Taylor on Home Improvement and voiced young Simba in Disney's The Lion King, making him familiar to millions before adulthood. At the height of that fame, Thomas made an unusual choice. In 1998, he left Home Improvement before its final season, explaining that he had been working almost non-stop since childhood and wanted time for school travel and a more normal life. He still accepted occasional roles, but Hollywood was no longer his main priority. Would you have walked away from television fame when millions still knew your name? Thomas later studied at Harvard University, spent time at the University of St. Andrews in Scotland, and graduated from Columbia University in 2010. He kept his private life largely out of the press and avoided the constant visibility that followed many former child stars. He briefly returned to television on Tim Allen's Last Man Standing between 2013 and 2015, and also directed several episodes. After that, public appearances became increasingly rare. In July 2026, Thomas surprised fans by appearing in a reunion photo with Home Improvement co-stars Patricia Richardson and Taran Noah Smith. At 44, with darker hair and glasses, he looked very different from the teenage heartthrob remembered from magazine covers. His story stands out because he deliberately chose a quieter life beyond fame. Taran Noah Smith. Taran Noah Smith is a former American child actor best remembered as Mark Taylor, the youngest son on the hit sitcom Home Improvement. He joined the series at only 7 years old in 1991 and remained through its finale in 1999, growing up on television alongside Tim Allen, Patricia Richardson, Jonathan Taylor Thomas, and Zachary Ty Bryan. When the show ended, Smith made a decision that separated him from many former child stars. He stopped acting. He later explained that because he had started working so young, he never really had the opportunity to decide whether acting was what he wanted. By 16, he knew he did not want to continue pursuing it professionally. Would you recognize little Mark Taylor today if Taran walked past you more than 25 years after Home Improvement ended? His adult life moved in completely different directions. Smith became involved in vegan food production, co-founding a business that produced cashew-based non-dairy cheese. He later participated in disaster relief work and became involved with projects connected to submersibles and marine technology. More recently, Smith has moved even further from Hollywood. Current reports say he works for SpaceX while acting remains firmly in his past. Yet in July 2026, fans received a rare reminder of his television childhood when Patricia Richardson shared a reunion photo with Smith and Jonathan Taylor Thomas. Now 42 with long hair and a beard. Smith looks dramatically different from the blonde little boy viewers remember as Mark. His transformation is striking not because Hollywood changed him, but because he chose an adult life almost completely outside it. Tachi Mowry. Tache Mowry is an American actor and singer who became known to 1990s audiences as child prodigy T.J. Henderson on Smart Guy. He had already appeared on Full House and Sister Sister and later voiced Wade Lode on Disney's Kim Possible. Growing up on television was not always easy. In a 2025 interview, Mowry recalled returning to middle school after filming several episodes of Smart Guy and discovering that classmates who had once been friendly suddenly treated him differently. He said the experience forced him to learn who his friends were and to stand up for himself, although he also credited a stable home life with helping him handle child fame. Would you recognize the little boy from Smart Guy if you saw Taj Mowry today? Unlike some former child stars, Mowry never completely left entertainment. As an adult, he played Tucker Dobbs for 5 seasons on Baby Daddy, appeared in The Muppets Mayhem, and continued taking film and television roles. His physical transformation has also attracted attention. By 2026. The once small sitcom star had become muscular and regularly shared fitness-focused photos online. Mowry turned 40 in May 2026. His recent credits include the 2025 thriller Get Off My Lawn, showing that acting remains part of his life nearly 3 decades after Smart Guy. The biggest change is not simply his appearance. Mowry successfully moved from child stardom into adulthood without disappearing from the industry that first made him famous. Alyson Stoner. Alyson Stoner is an American actor and dancer who first became widely recognizable at only 9, appearing in Missy Elliott's 2002 Work It music video. They later appeared in Cheaper by the Dozen, Step Up, Camp Rock, and Disney Channel projects, including The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody and Phineas and Ferb. Behind that childhood resume, Stoner has described a much more complicated reality. By age 9, they were working intensely and spending less time in ordinary school life. As pressure around performance and appearance increased, Stoner developed serious eating disorder symptoms and entered treatment at 17 after their health deteriorated. Would you have recognized the energetic young dancer from Work It if you met Alyson today? The physical difference is obvious. Stoner is now an adult with a different hairstyle and personal style, but the larger transformation happened away from the camera. Rather than trying to recreate their child star image, they shifted toward mental health advocacy and examining how entertainment affects young performers. In 2025, Stoner published the memoir Semi-Well-Adjusted, Despite Literally Everything, recounting the pressures of growing up in Hollywood and calling for stronger protections for children in entertainment. They also became known for the Dear Hollywood podcast and as a co-founder of the wellness platform Movement Genius. By 2026, Stoner's public identity had moved far beyond the child performer audiences remembered. The little dancer who once appeared beside major music and Disney stars grew into an adult, openly questioning the system that made them famous so young. Mackenzie Rosman. Mackenzie Rosman is an American actress, best known for playing Ruthie Camden on the long-running family drama Seventh Heaven. She joined the series at just 6 years old and grew up on screen during its 11-season run, making Ruthie one of the most familiar television children of the late 1990s and early 2000s. After Seventh Heaven ended in 2007, Rosman continued acting but never chased the same level of Hollywood visibility. She appeared in The Secret Life of the American Teenager and films, including Ghost Shark and Nightcomer. Away from acting, horses became a major part of her life, and she competed as an equestrian while keeping a much lower public profile. Would you recognize the little girl who played Ruthie Camden if you passed Mackenzie Rosman today? Rosman also became involved in cystic fibrosis awareness for deeply personal reasons. Her stepsister Caitlin Salmont had the disease and underwent a double lung transplant before dying in 2008. Rosman served as National Honorary Chair for the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation's Cure Finders program and helped promote fundraising and early awareness. In recent years, Rosman has reconnected publicly with her television past. She co-hosts the Catching Up with the Camdens Rewatch podcast, alongside former castmates Beverly Mitchell and David Gallagher. Now 36, Rosman is also a mother. Her daughter Ophelia Catlin, born in 2022, even appeared on the podcast in 2026, with fans immediately noticing how much she resembled Rosman during her earliest years as Ruthie. Bug Hall. Bug Hall is an American former child actor who became famous as Alfalfa in the 1994 comedy The Little Rascals. With his parted hair, cowlick bow tie, and crush on Darla Hall, became one of the film's most recognizable young faces. He later appeared in The Big Green, The Stupids, and Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves. Unlike many child stars, Hall continued acting into adulthood. His later television credits included CSI: Criminal Minds, Castle Revolution, and Harley and the Davidsons. But the clean-cut child audiences remembered gradually became almost unrecognizable as Hall grew older, eventually adopting a long beard and rugged appearance. Would you recognize Alfalfa today if you saw him living far from Hollywood with a full beard and work clothes? Hall's life also changed dramatically after a troubled period. In June 2020, he was arrested in Texas after allegedly inhaling air duster. He was booked on a misdemeanor charge and later said no formal charges ultimately resulted. Hall has since described that incident as a major turning point and said he decided to leave the entertainment industry. By 2026, reports described Hall now in his early 40s living off the grid on rural land in Arkansas with his wife and 5 children. He has spoken about embracing a simple, self-reliant lifestyle far removed from movie sets. More than 30 years after The Little Rascals, the boy with Alfalfa's famous cowlick has become a bearded father living a life almost completely outside Hollywood. Miko Hughes. Miko Hughes is an American actor who became one of the most recognizable child performers in horror after playing Gage Creed in the 1989 adaptation of Pet Sematary. I was barely 3 when the film was released, yet his performance turned the innocent-looking Gage into one of horror cinema's most memorable children. Hughes had begun working even earlier, appearing in a public service announcement at 22 months old. After Pet Sematary, he avoided becoming known for only one role. He appeared in Kindergarten Cop Apollo 13, and Wes Craven's New Nightmare played Aaron Bailey on Full House, and later portrayed Simon Lynch, opposite Bruce Willis, in Mercury Rising. Would you recognize the little boy from Pet Sematary if you met Miko Hughes today? As Hughes grew older, major studio roles became less frequent, but he never completely disappeared from entertainment. He continued acting in smaller projects and remained connected to the horror community, where his childhood performances still attract fans. In 2026, he appeared on the Horrific podcast to discuss Pet Sematary, New Nightmare conventions, and growing up with those films. Away from acting, Hughes developed an unexpected passion: beekeeping. He has said he became fascinated by bees after watching a documentary as a child and eventually kept his own hive. Now 40 Hughes looks far removed from the blonde toddler audiences remember. Rather than disappearing entirely, he built a quieter adult life while staying connected to the movies that first made him famous. Julianna Rose Mauriello. Julianna Rose Mauriello is a former American child actress, best known as Stephanie, the energetic, pink-haired girl from the children's series Lazy Town. She joined the show while still very young and quickly became one of its most recognizable faces, appearing alongside Magnus Shaving's Sportacus and Stefan Karl Stephenson's Robbie Rotten. Mauriello played Stephanie during the first 2 seasons and later returned for Lazy Town Extra. Her performance was strong enough to earn a 2006 Daytime Emmy nomination for Outstanding Performer in a Children's Series. Filming also took her to Iceland, where she spent significant time working on the production and even learned some Icelandic. Would you recognize Stephanie today without the bright pink wig-matching dress and colorful world of Lazy Town around her? As Mauriello grew older, she eventually left the role and Chloe Lang replaced her as Stephanie for later seasons. Rather than trying to remain in children's television, Mauriello gradually stepped away from acting altogether. Her adult life took a surprisingly different direction. She pursued higher education and later became an occupational therapist, publicly sharing in 2018 that she had completed graduate-level training at Columbia University. Recent profiles continue to describe her as having moved into occupational therapy rather than returning to Hollywood. By 2026, Mauriello is 35 and looks naturally far removed from the child audiences remember. The transformation is not the result of scandal or a dramatic Hollywood downfall. She simply grew up, left acting behind, and built a professional life outside entertainment. Malcolm David Kelly. Malcolm David Kelly is an American actor and musician who became widely known as Walt Lloyd on the television series Lost. Before that breakthrough, he had already worked as a child actor in projects including Aunt Wone Fisher and You Got Served, but Lost made him familiar to millions of viewers. Kelly joined Lost in 2004 when he was only 12. Walt quickly became one of the show's most mysterious characters, with strange events surrounding him and his sudden kidnapping becoming a major part of the first season story. As Kelly grew rapidly while the series' timeline moved slowly, his character appeared less frequently in later seasons, though he returned for important appearances. Would you recognize the young Walt Lloyd today if you saw Malcolm David Kelly away from the island, rather than relying on childhood fame? Kelly developed a second career in music. After working with Tony Aller on the teen Nick series Gigantic, the two formed the pop duo MKTO. Their single classic became their best-known song and introduced Kelly to an audience that may never have watched Lost. Kelly also continued acting with later credits including Detroit Insecure Dutch and an episode of The Rookie in 2024. Now 34, Kelly looks far removed from the child audiences remember from Lost. But unlike many former child stars who disappeared completely, he moved between acting and music, building an adult career without trying to recreate the fame he experienced as Walt.